Greetings, good people, and a warm welcome to Heaven Bless the Little Ones. I'm your host, Tom O'Connor, and television journalist. Today we're taking a pilgrimage to Worcester, Massachusetts, to the home of Audrey Santos. We made a personal visit, myself and my wife, this summer to Worcester, Massachusetts, to meet the mother of this mysterious young girl who has been described as a saint, a mystery, and a phenomenon. You could, of course, judge for yourself what you will be seeing in regard to Audrey Santos. She lives in a comatose state and is taken care of 24 hours a day by relatives, nurses, and other individuals involved with her care. Mysterious things have been happening there, miraculous cures. And for Catholics who understand, the host has actually bled. Statues bleed, statues tear, cures are made, and Audrey, in many ways, is almost aloof to all of this. I'd like to read you a segment in regard to the historical factor of how scientists and different individuals in the world have looked upon this type of mystical phenomena. For hundreds of years, scientists and mystical theologians have studied individuals who have opportunity and apparently exhibited the stigmata of Christ. For what exactly is the meaning of this phenomenon? And who are those individuals who seemingly carry Christ's wounds in their bodies? Audrey does have the stigmata, which is the bleeding of the hands and the feet and the side, similar to Christ, which is a mystery in itself. From a purely objective standpoint, theologians classify such experience as psychological phenomena. These phenomena consist of levitation, luminous rays, fragrant odors, prolonged fasting, and stigmatization. All of these are a mystery. And that's why we have the videotape, Audrey Santos, living in the 21st century in Worcester, Massachusetts. She has never spoken a word, but she is known and recognized by thousands and millions of people. Her programs have been on Mysteries Theater, Channel 7, Channel 4. Documentaries are being made. So now we give you an invitation to come along with us on a pilgrimage to Worcester, Massachusetts, to visibly see for yourself the phenomena of Audrey Santos, a young girl whose mother decided that life is worth living for this particular child.
For close to a decade, inside this bedroom window of a small suburban home in Worcester, Massachusetts, countless visitors have stood at this young girl's bedside. Without as much as a smile, she has become an inspiration to many. Her name is Audrey Marie Santos. When she was just 3 years old, tragedy struck when Audrey fell into her family's swimming pool and nearly drowned. Although she was able to be resuscitated, her lungs, brain, and heart were badly damaged, and doctors suggested removing her from life support. Her family declined. August 9th, 1987, the day of the accident, is a day that Audrey's mother has thought about many times since. Looking back, she says there were indications that it would not be an ordinary day.
Well, it really began as an odd day anyway, because usually, if my oldest son was serving Mass, him and I may have gone to one Mass. And, I mean, it was, we all, it wasn't always where we all got to go together. And that particular day, he didn't have to serve, and we all got to go together.
I had to go pick up my sister. She had slept over at my grandmother's. I picked her up in the morning. And she was really, really quiet. And that's very unusual for Audrey. Audrey's never quiet. She's always has something to say at any time. Even if you're quiet, she questions you constantly. So it's constant jibber-jabber and laughing and whatever. And that day she was particularly quiet. It was just myself and her. And I picked her up and she sat in the back seat. And right then and there it was pretty unusual. And she was just really quiet and she sat in the back seat. And I said to her, Audrey, why are you sitting in the back seat? And she says, I just feel like it. And I said, is everything okay? Yep. And she didn't say anything the entire trip home. It was just so unlike her. It was so unusual. It was like she knew something was going to happen.
Audrey's father was still working a double shift at his job for a plastics company when the family returned home from Mass that Sunday morning.
So when we got home, the two little ones were in the driveway, with the remote control car and having a good time, and Matthew came in and said, we're leaving today, Mom. And I said, God, we're going to get the laundry ready. So I'm trying to get things ready for dinner and get laundry ready and everything, and my oldest daughter was upstairs on her phone. And all of a sudden, she came down, and Stephen, my youngest son, came in through a side door. And I looked at all three of them, and I said, all my kids are here, where's my baby? And Matthew and I jumped up and went out towards the back door to the deck. And Stephen had said, she's playing with the remote control car. I think Matthew went, looked out the side window, she wasn't there, so we both rushed to the back deck door, and she was floating in the pool.
Unconscious with no vital signs, Audrey was pulled from the water by her 13-year-old brother, Matthew. Audrey's mother frantically dialed 911.
I remember like bits and pieces. Like I remember all the ambulances and cruises all flying around. Scared, really scared. Because I didn't know what was going on. I kind of had a sense of it, but not the whole picture.
She was brought to a hospital, Worcester City Hospital, but she went into cardiac arrest on the way there. And then she was, she was stabilized.
Although stabilized, Audrey was still in critical condition. She was quickly transferred to the pediatric trauma unit at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. The hospital was soon flooded with family and friends.
There were like 100 to 200 people constantly up there praying.
Well, it was overwhelming. The amount of people that came, we hadn't seen in 10 years, or people, our parents' friends and relatives and people we just haven't seen in so long that had heard about it through either the media, friends, whatnot. The news traveled so fast and you couldn't believe the support that people gave for you. They were coming with everything. I mean, just their thoughts, their prayers, coming to be with you.
After a week, because of excessive visitors, Audrey was moved to an isolation ward. Even the media was following her progress. A local print reporter, Neil Isaacson, asked, why has there been so much attention on this 4-year-old as opposed to another who may have suffered just as unfortunate an accident?
She was in the newspaper, she was on the media, she was on TV. I don't know why. To this moment, I don't know how they got a picture of her to put on the news. But stories ran about her for 2 or 3 years in the local papers, in the Boston Globe.
1 month later, in mid-September, as Audrey remained in a post-traumatic coma, Linda and Stephen Santos' marriage had all but disintegrated. Tormented by the accident, Audrey's father was unable to cope with the stress, and the grieving couple separated. Now alone as a single parent, Linda prayed to God for strength and focused all her attention on her 4 children. In November, nearly 4 months after the accident, doctors announced that there was nothing more they could do. They suggested Linda make arrangements for Audrey to spend the rest of her short life in an institution, stating that children in her condition survive no longer than 2 years.
They came in and asked me where I was going to place her. And I said, excuse me? And they said, where are you going to place her? And I said, place her? And they, you know, they meant institutionalize her. I said, I'm going to place her in my arms. And they said, oh no, you can't take her home. She'll be dead in 2 weeks. I said, oh, I don't think so. I said, she's my child, she's going home.
Linda sold the family's existing home and found a 1-story house more suitable for the respirators, monitors, and Audrey's other critical medical equipment. Friends organized fundraising benefits to offset some of the astronomical medical costs. Since her release from the hospital 9 years ago, Audrey's condition is virtually the same. She remains in a form of coma known as akinetic mutism, literally a non-moving, non-talking state. Although able to breathe on her own, Audrey is partially dependent on a tracheostomy tube in her neck connected to a breathing machine. Audrey receives food into her stomach through another tube. Because of Audrey's around-the-clock need for care, her homecoming brought with it immense changes for the family. Father Emmanuel Charles McCarthy has helped the Santos with many of these difficult adjustments.
If you know anything about dealing with people who have to work with human beings who are in a coma, it is an ordeal. Because there is no response backwards. There is no back to you. There's no gratitude. There's no expression of anything. Huh? And therefore, if you were, say, to go over here to the hospital that deals with folks like that in Boston, there would be dozens of children, either because of car accidents or swimming accidents and so forth and so on, who would literally be taken care of only by the nurses and doctors and the help in the hospital. The parents have long since gone. This does not mean that the parents are bad parents. What I'm saying is this is an ordeal in the extreme.
Everybody, I guess, carries their own particular emotional baggage, you know. I can't speak for each one of them, but it's, of course, obviously done something to each one of us. It's changed our lives in an emotional way. We were always very bonded and very close, and I don't think that changed, but it's changed. The stress level is different.
The Santo family coped with the trauma by pulling together and undergoing family therapy.
Because at that time we didn't have 24-hour nursing. That we had to be there. Whoever was, you know, whoever could help had to be there. It wasn't like we could hesitate or wait. We didn't have that luxury.